See, you are in the time of two prophecies. A lot of people may not realize that spiritual warfare is done with prophetic declarations. In the very beginning, when God created everything, he drew the picture inside himself and he released the word out of his mouth that was carrying the picture that he saw in himself. And that's a prophetic utterance. It's a prophetic declaration, proclamation. And it went out and did battle with darkness. And the darkness couldn't seize it and hold it down. And it's all done with prophetic words. Lord, you want me to tell this today? I don't want to rush this thing, Lord. It's done with prophetic declaration, just the way he created the world. Now, Satan knew how God created, and he also knew that the anointing to do this was placed on him to establish the earth for God's family that was coming. Ezekiel 28, around verse 14 in there. He knew this. He was the anointed cherub, and he knew that it was placed on him, because this is what I wanted us to see today. Listen to this. It has always been, every false prophecy, everything the enemy has said has always been to bring into the earth the beast, the Antichrist himself. Remember this. Every time there's a false prophecy, a false prophet who's prophesying the prophecies of hell, it's all to bring in the Antichrist. And the prophecy has been in the earth all this time. Isaiah's told when he said it. God himself, in Genesis 3:15, acknowledged there was such a prophecy, that the seed of the serpent would be in the earth. It was prophesied. It's a war of prophetic words. And God's word became flesh and dwelled among men. And Satan is still trying to get his in the earth. Now, there was a time, there was a prophecy given. Now I want you to listen to this. This is where I'm just tiptoeing around. There was a time, there was a prophecy given. And it was given by a Cumaean Sibyl. And it's in the writings of Virgil, I think. The great prophecy of the Cumaean Sibyl, where we get the wording on our money, Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's on every dollar bill in America. With it on the $1 bill, that prophecy is handled and spread by even the most common person. Now this prophecy it went this way. Now the last age by Cumaean Sibyl sung has come and gone, and the majestic roll of circling centuries begins anew. Justice returns old Saturn's reign, with a new breed of men sent down from heaven. Only do thou at the boy's birth, in whom the iron shall cease, the golden race arise. Befriend him, chaste Lucinda, 'tis thine own Apollo reigns. The Cumaean Sibyl was the most important prophetess of Apollo. In one painting, this, which appears to be a transgender, six-fingered giant who resembles part man and part woman, this Sibyl is prominently featured in the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican and is given a place of honor among the prophets of the Bible. This Sibyl was the most important among the Pythians. They operated in the spirit of divination, the python or serpent spirit. This goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden when the serpent first spoke to the woman. There are two things written on the back of the $1 bill: Annuit Coeptus and Novus Ordo Seclorum. Annuit Coeptus is taken from Virgil's Aeneads 9:625. It means he, Jupiter, favors our undertaking, and Jupiter is the father of Apollo. Novus Ordo Seclorum is new order of the ages. This was taken from a prophecy of the Cumaean Sibyl recorded in Virgil's Eclogues 4:5. It predicts that at the end of time there will come the arrival of the divine Son, Apollo. Now, all of this is a prophecy, and it's been put on the back of the $1 bill so that every single person can handle it. Because no matter what your status in life, at some point you'll handle $1 bills. So men are passing the prophecy back and forth. And the all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar represents this. And the eye of Apollo, some say it's the eye of Horus, the sun god. It's still all the same false being, trying to bring a prophecy into being. Now listen to me close and don't run off a cliff with all of this. Just listen to what I'm saying. So then they are planning on and looking at opening a portal to bring this prophecy to pass. And the governments know it. People know it. It's not an accident that the big Hadron Collider is built over the old temple of Apollo. Because in Revelation 9, it says there will be the bottomless pit. There's an angel fell from heaven, and he was given a key, and he opened the bottomless pit, and out of it arose a smoke. And these demonic spirits of hell came up out of that. Now, this prophecy is known by the people who run the world. It's known by them. This thing has been in the earth, a prophetic war against two words. I probably went too far today. I should have done this on a special maybe. But it was done as, this has been in the earth from the beginning, since the fall of man. Listen to this, and the Cumaean Sibyl is on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, among the prophets of the Bible. It's given that kind of prominence to bring this to pass. That's why you see the Catholic Church and we have that's why you see the Vatican has been talking about for a long time that they're looking for extraterrestrials to come into the earth. They're looking for them to come in. They have the giant binocular telescope in Arizona called Lucifer. They're looking for these things to happen, and they're all. And I think one of the head guys in the Vatican said, they are among us. And when they were asked, when they show up on the earth, they said, we won't have to change what we believe right off. So they're looking for these beings to come. It's from that prophecy. Religion and the religious world are looking for that to come. They're waiting on that to happen. So the Hadron Collider was built on the Temple of Apollo, ready to open the lid if they can do it. So watch. They have something like, it's 27 meters, but it's like under or something, but it's like 17 miles around, whatever that is on the numbers, but it goes around in a circle. It's a portal. They're forming a portal, and they fire these particles, and when they get them to a certain speed, they collide, and all at once when they collide, they open enough energy in the portal to open a dimension. And one said, if we could get it open, something might step through it. They are wanting this to happen, but it is a prophecy they are trying to fulfill. Now, I've never said that on the air, but they're trying to fulfill the prophecy. They're trying to bring the prophecy to pass in the earth. So they built it on the Temple of Apollo. Do you really think that's an accident? They could have built it on a landmark of a yak that walked out on one day and died in a community was built called the Yakimas or something. I don't know. And they could have done this and they could have built it over anything, over some legend, but they went to the Temple of Apollo and they went underground as into hell, and they formed a portal. And now we have heads of governments that were sitting there. Some of you saw that years ago when they dedicated that rail tunnel, and they dedicated it down under first, and they had people simulating lewd sexual acts, and they had fallen angels and a goat man running around, humans in chains in the back of a wagon, and they were marching them through, bringing them through these hideous things going on, while heads of state sit there in their clean-cut suits watching this happen. And it was a dedication to a portal. People say it's a dedication. No, it was the ritual to open it. That's what it was. And they knew it was. And then they brought it up on the larger platform, and all the people that worked there came up in their orange jumpsuits. You know, orange jumpsuits like prisoners wear. And they come bringing them up out of there in their hard hats, and they marched out like zombies. And suddenly when they stopped, they had moved all the government officials up in the stands. And when they marched out of hell, came up out of that tunnel and stopped, the goat man wasn't there. There wasn't any of those fallen beings there. It was just these workers possessed with the spirit that was there. And they walked out on that platform, and they stood, and all of a sudden you could see when that demonic spirit hit them, and they began to strip their clothes off like the prophets of Baal. And they started simulating looking all kinds of ways. And they were standing there in all their ugly underwear, dancing around everywhere on that platform. And even people who don't even believe or follow God wrote about it and said, my God, this is satanic from the start. And then they lifted some up and they began to break through a glass wall, beat through a wall like of glass on this video screen. And then suddenly the goat man that was down under came walking out, showing they're going to try to free him. And when he came walking out, they started covering men with shrouds, and they would just lay down. And the being they brought forth was Pan, the god Pan. And then a pandemic, a panic among the demographics happened. All of this started taking place. It is a prophecy of the Cumean Sibyl that is adopted by the men and women who run the world financially, and they sit in secret and hatch their serpent eggs because they are seeds of that serpent. Of these things going on, it's all to bring about a prophecy. They believe the prophecy of the Cumean Sibyl. They believe that. And it's a battle of two prophecies coming together in this time. So the Lord raises up prophets and brings prophets on the scene to do battle with those prophets. A prophecy of the Cumean Sibyl, a prophecy of the Lord that said the seed of the woman will bruise his head and so forth, and we will put him down and so forth. And so there's two prophecies in the world, and you have people like this Harari, who's they call the prophet, trying to bring that prophecy to pass, and you have the prophecy of the Cumean Sibyl, and now you see what's happening not long ago on this set right here. Right here. I started saying one day that it just hit me, and I started, in my spirit, I started playing on the guitar like an explosion. I said, I hear explosions, explosions. And then Robin started singing a prophetic song a program ago or something like that, and she started singing about removing the groves, tearing down the idols, removing their titles. And then boom, the guide stones in Georgia exploded. And then, what was it, yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, boom! And a giant explosion around the obelisk at the Vatican took place. It's a war of prophecy. And there's two powers colliding. And you better be on the right side when it comes down. Because this is the time to take sides. This is the time for God's people to say like Joshua, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I'm going to tell you something. Tea cake making, tea drinking, pinky sticking out Christians that are in their elevator music rooms and are ignoring the war of a generation dying out here beside them are not the way. They are the ones who criticize the ones over here because they don't have the nerve to step out into the battle and fight. I'd rather fight in the spirit and risk mistakes than I would stay and sit down and drink my tea while the world goes to hell in a handbasket. And my posterity and my children and my grandchildren and their children and their grandchildren will never know freedom if I sit over there. Yes, I believe Jesus is coming. Yes, I believe in the rapture of the church. Yes, I believe all these things. But I also believe we are to occupy. We are to resist. We are to resist. We are to stand. And I want you to know today it's a battle of two prophecies. There are two prophecies. This is what the fight is. And the problem is that they know it, and they spent untold billions of dollars to build the collider, to make the prophecy happen. I don't even know who believes that. But they have built by billions and billions and billions of dollars just to open a portal to make the Cumean Sibyl's prophecy come to pass. And now you see them talking, a new world order. There's going to be a new world order. It's going to be a new world order. You're right, Jack. There's going to be a new world order. But I'm going to tell you something, the turn that's about to happen, you ain't ready for that. Because when God turns this page, you're going to be hanging on to the edge of the page for dear life. And I'm going to tell you something, when the page turns, you just go with it. And then when the Lord has his revival here, that time will come. But even then, when that prophecy happens, and the resistors are out of the way, and that prophecy happens in the widest expression of satanic power, he can't even keep it going but 7 years. And only about 3.5 of that is devastating to everyone. Now that shows you how weak this thing is.